Chet? Chet?
Hi, dudes.
She's alive. Alive! Weird science.
In January and February 1951, a story called Maid of the Future by Al Feldstein appeared in the Weird Science comic series, which was a combination of short stories based on science fiction concepts. The story was about a man named Alvin whose callous girlfriend Marge breaks up with him to marry another man. Being sad, Alvin goes out and finds himself in a tour group that he discreetly joins to pass the time. It turns out the group is from the future and they return to 2150. While there, Alvin buys a kit that can create the perfect woman, and he sneaks back to the 1950s by jumping on another tour. He follows the kit's instructions, and a completely subservient and gentle woman is made who is named Jean. They marry immediately, as people didn't usually live together in the 1950s, and one day Alvin decides to invite his ex-girlfriend and her new husband Bob over to rub Jean in her face. Marge's husband congratulates Alvin and tells them that Marge is a terrible woman and he regrets marrying her, and states that Alvin got lucky. Alvin ponders this and realizes he is really happy with Jean and that he really cares for her. The next day he comes home to find a note from Jean. She states she went out to go on one of those tours she's seen in the area, and Alvin panics and looks for her but never sees her again. Most film directors of the 70s and 80s grew up with these comics, and Joel Silver had the mind to get the rights for all 22 EC Weird Science comic stories to see if there was some interesting ideas he could be inspired by or find something good enough to make. One day, John Hughes was in Joel's office when boxes of Weird Science mags was delivered, and they looked at some of them. As they did this, they mused over a gorgeous woman they saw earlier. The pollinization of Al Feldstein's story and the image of the woman melded into a simple question. What if two kids figured out how to make a girl? Hughes went home and wrote the first draft in 2 days. He called it Weird Science after the comic. This was all happening during principal photography of Breakfast Club between March 28th to May 1984. Hughes walked up to Anthony Michael Hall and said, "We got the next movie." He stated he was working on the script the night before and wrote 30 pages, and wrote one of the characters for Hall and another actor. At the time, Anthony Michael Hall was a blossoming star. His work on Six Pack, National Lampoon's Vacation, and 16 Candles got him a lot of attention. Hughes was extremely supportive of Hall. It was not uncommon that Hall would stay over Hughes' house with his wife and kids, and he was treated as an adopted member of their family. This kind of family environment caused Hall to be enthusiastic and loyal to his mentor, and he said he would do the new movie. Hall was offered a whopping $300K for the part and was only 16 years old at the time. As a result of committing to Weird Science, Hall turned down National Lampoon's European Vacation, and that was a good thing since the film would later turn out to be lackluster compared to most comedies at the time. One night, while hanging out and watching movies, Hall and Hughes came across material Ilan Mitchell-Smith was in, and the two immediately recognized that his high-pitched voice might be a perfect fit for the other protagonist of the film.
My parents are coming home. Chet's coming home. They're gonna freak out.
Smith was offered $150K for the part, which was half of Hall's fee, but Ilan logically understood why he got less, as he was not as well known as Anthony Michael Hall and would not be the main draw for the film. He stated $150,000 was a lot of money for a 15-year-old and was thankful for what he got. What a contrast to later whining celebrities.
Say, if I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
Back to reality, Robert Rusler was 18 and played Max the Bully. He was studying to be an actor in Hollywood and grinding for auditions and roles hopelessly. He kept getting close to roles but not landing anything, and he debated joining the Marines because he thought he could be a good Marine. He was about to quit the business and stated to his mother that if he didn't get his current audition, which was Weird Science, he would join the Marines and tackle his dream of acting later. He read for the part with Craig Sheffer in Hughes' office at Universal, and Hughes offered them both the part of the bullies. However, the casting director, Jackie Birch, interrupted the conversation and said that Robert didn't have a SAG card yet, which basically meant that he wasn't signed with the Screen Actors Guild. Hughes just told Birch to get it done, and Robert got the part. While out surfing one day, Robert's brother was waving at him on the beach and told him that Universal has been calling for the last 2 hours, and he better get to the studio. Thinking he was about to be fired, he raced there to find casting director Jackie Birch and Robert Downey Jr. waiting for him. She told him that Craig left the role to do a film with Emilio Estevez called That Was Then, This Is Now, and that he should rehearse with Downey for another reading. Within minutes, both Roberts knew they had chemistry and would become fast friends, and Rusler was blown away by Robert Downey Jr.'s approach to acting.
And I knew right away that he should be a mentor of mine, if that makes any sense.
Oh yeah.
And we went in and we read, and just as quick as Craig and I got hired, he hired a Downey to play Ian, and the rest is history.
Robert Downey Jr. was no stranger to Hughes because Molly Ringwald tried to lobby Hughes during early talks for the role of Ducky in Pretty in Pink. However, Hughes picked John Cryer instead for the role. Suzanne Snyder was 22 years old and studying to be a doctor, but decided to become an actress. She shared an acting class with Jill Schoelen and did commercials and episodic television until she landed her first role in Class. She auditioned for Breakfast Club, and John Hughes said he really liked her. Unfortunately, offers had already went out to the stars that were picked, but he did state that he was working on another film she might be right for. She left thinking Hughes was just letting her down easy, and to her surprise, when casting began for Weird Science, he called her in to read with Kelly Preston. After all was said and done, Suzanne got the part. Then there was Judie Aronson as Hilly. Judie knew she wanted to become an actress since she was a child, and had her big break freezing in the water in Friday the 13th, the final chapter. To be honest, Judie is one of my childhood crushes for not only this movie, but American Ninja, which is one of my guiltiest pleasures that I don't go a year without seeing. This was Judie's second film, and it would really affect her career negatively, as you will later learn as we go on in our coverage. One cast member who will forever be remembered for his role is Bill Paxton, and here's what he had to say about it.
I relished that role. I relished it. How often do you get to terrorize people and get paid for it? I've never lived that part down. I'm sure if I live to be 100 and I do 1,000 movies, they will remember me as Chet in Weird Science. It's become like this weird cultural touchstone for people.
For Lisa, Demi Moore, Robin Wright, and Sharon Stone tried out for the part. Kelly LeBrock was offered the part at the time because she was very popular for being beautiful.
Don't hate me because I'm beautiful.
LeBrock was also kind of a sexual icon in 1984 thanks to the movie Woman in Red. LeBrock passed because she was in France living the life with Sting and enjoyed riding her horse on the beach regularly. Instead, Hughes took a chance on Kelly Emberg, who had little film experience and was best known for being a model that dated Rod Stewart at the time. The revised final draft for the script was finished on September 24th, 1984, and was ironically the same date as the original filming was supposed to begin. However, filming was delayed till October 2nd, 1984. Since the troupe were already signed, Hughes brought them all together to rehearse for 2 weeks, and from this grew into a very familiar bond with all of them. In these rehearsals, there was a ton of improv, which allowed many tweaking of dialogue and changes for the film. When all this was said and done, this was the script they were going to shoot at the time. Gary and Wyatt are watching an old Frankenstein movie and they complain that it's not scary. They start cooking popcorn and argue over the fact that Wyatt always burns their food when he stays over while his parents are away. Wyatt states that if Gary didn't throw away the packages with the instructions, they wouldn't get burned. Then Gary says he should be out on a real date and he could have one tonight. When asked about her, Gary says she's from Canada, and Wyatt says if that's so, what's her name? He says it's Cherry. She's 19 and has no morals. We then cut straight to the scene where Gary is in the bathroom and they discuss making a girl. The dialogue is pretty close to the film, and then they get on their computer and make Lisa. Lots of antics ensue after the doll connection and the enter key is pressed. A motorcycle cop riding a ticket to a teen driver is stunned when his motorcycle starts up and speeds away. A manhole cover blows out on a street and a column of fire rises from it. A toupee flies off of a man's head and starts scooting up a wall. After they bash the computer, Wyatt is trembling and says he wants to go to church now, and Gary says, "I better get home now. Thanks for the popcorn." But Wyatt grabs him, not permitting him to leave. Lisa then appears, runs her tongue over her lips, and offers a sexy laugh. Then the shower scene occurs, and Lisa wants them to have fun, so she drives them to the club with events similar to the film. Wyatt drives back, Chet bullies them, and Lisa kisses Wyatt. There are a few dialogue differences, but not much. After the kiss scene, Lisa is preparing in the bathroom for aerobics, and she heads towards Wyatt in anticipation, but he yawns and passes out, just as she is approaching him seductively. She then tucks the boys in and sits beside their beds. In the morning, Chet takes Wyatt's omelet made by Lisa and tells him to cover himself. Then the scene cuts to the mall, where Gary buys perfume for Lisa and discovers that Wyatt's wallet seems to create an infinite amount of money. The boys are then bullied by the two Roberts, and they leave with Lisa like the film, and Lisa tells them about the party. During the parent scene with Gary, Lisa is way more graphic, stating that she went to bed with Wyatt and Gary's jealous, but tonight she plans on strapping a speedometer to her butt to see if they can break a record. The script is very rated R, with lots of F-word moments. Then the party occurs, and events remain the same, with the bathroom scene and Max and Ian going for Lisa. The party is the same, and weenies show up, and if you don't know who this group is, we will cover it in part 2 of the film's deep dive. The bullies convince our heroes to make another girl, and more antics ensue as the manhole blows open, and instead of fire, popcorn erupts from it. Wyatt's family bathroom turns upside down with water defying gravity, and so on. The bikers come, and the boys save the day. Afterwards, Hilly and Wyatt become an item. The script takes a very crude change when both Ian and Max are under a blanket with Lisa in a dark room, and it is clearly stated they both just had sex with her. Lisa talks to them about bullying Wyatt and Gary and taking advantage of their girlfriends, and the two bullies don't care. They start laughing, and she tells them they are heading for a serious problem. Then Gary and Deb become an item. We then cut to Lisa seeing the bullies out, and they actually ask her, "When can we use you again?" And Lisa replies, "Go home and think about it. You may not want to use me again." On their walk home, Ian and Max turn into hybrid human pig and a human donkey. They both flee into the night. The sun rises at Wyatt's home. Chet arrives, the girls are taken home, and Chet is turned into a preppy Jabba the Hutt, described as a mass of blubber dressed in LL Bean hunting gear. The same dialogue occurs, but Lisa tells him that if he ever mistreats Wyatt again, he will revert back to the Jabba-like form. Lisa and the boys say goodbye, and she tells them she is going to Vegas. She disappears, and everything turns back to normal. The credits roll, but while they do so, scenes still occur. Max the Hog and Ian the Jackass are teased at school. Gary's father still doesn't remember him. Wyatt's mother looks up at the ceiling and sees footprints on it. Chet is pulled over by the cops, and he muses aloud that he wouldn't be in such a hurry if it wasn't for his stupid brother. And then he stops what he's saying as he turns back into the Jabba form. Cops pull their guns out in fear, and it is implied they shoot him. Then Lisa is seen walking down Las Vegas Strip, and we go to full credits. On October 2nd, all location shots began. These sites were in Skokie, Illinois, and the film was filmed in the Northbrook Court Shopping Mall in Northbrook, Illinois. The rest of the areas filmed for the movie was outside Chicago, Illinois. As for Kelly Emberg, 3 weeks into production, she was let go. It is claimed that she only worked 2 days on the set. Emberg stated it was due to creative differences, but the majority of sources state she was sacked because she wasn't right for the role. After she left, Suzanne Snyder was asked if she wanted to play Lisa, and this was her response.
Wait, asked if you'd be Lisa?
Yeah, and I said no.
Huh.
I was too shy.
Wow.
I didn't want to do it. So that was probably, I would say that was probably one of the more stupid things I've ever done in my life.
Shortly thereafter, Kelly LeBrock was called again for the role, and for some reason she changed her mind. They called me, and within a couple hours, I was on a plane to Chicago. A small problem for the film was that all the clothes for Kelly Emberg were larger than Kelly LeBrock's size. They were already filming, and the outfits were resized during shots by cutting the back of the outfits and then resewing them tighter to fit her. LeBrock's first scene was in the mall, and she said at first she felt like an outsider because everyone was so close and she didn't know anybody. The town the movie is set in is Shermer, Illinois, which is the setting for many Hughes movies such as 16 Candles and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. With location shooting done, it was off to the Universal Studios backlot right next to the Back to the Future production, where Eric Stoltz was playing Marty McFly. This is what Judie Aronson recalled of that time.
We were filming right next to Back to the Future.
Universal, duh.
At Universal.
Wow.
So we would all hang out together and watch them film Back to the Future with Eric Stoltz, not Michael J. Fox.
Aronson would later say that the filming of Weird Science was just fun, as everybody just relaxed, enjoyed each other, and played themselves in the film, trying not to crack up. Now, Robert Downey Jr. and Robert Rusler liked to fool around on set, and they actually fed each other's mischievous side. Judie Aronson said that they literally were those characters in real life, so they weren't acting on the set. The two joked about defecating in cast trailers. Apparently, Downey stated he did defecate on a seat of one of the female actors' chairs, yet Judie Aronson stated this without hesitation in an interview.
Robert Rusler and Robert Downey, although they both will tell you that it wasn't them, shat in Babette Prop's dressing room. She came in, and we all knew who it was because the two of them were practical jokers, and I love them to death, but they were assholes.
Oh my God.
No, in a good way. Like, I loved them. We all did. They were great. But when I say assholes, I mean, they were such boys.
The poop in the trailer got Joel Silver so mad that he questioned everyone on the film set and wanted to ferret out who did it. When Downey was cornered and questioned, his response was, "No, but I sure wish it was me who did it." He was 19 at the time, and his antics on the film was one of the many instances that caused Downey to get notoriety during the 80s as a bad boy. Now, the day before the biker scene, Judie Aronson got an offer to try out for another movie and went to Joel Silver asking if she could do it and work around the shoot. Silver said it was not doable, so she canceled the audition and lost the part. By happenstance, she got really sick that same day and ended up with an IV in her at the hospital. The doctors told her to just stay home, but she asked them to give her something to hold her over, as she didn't want to miss work because she was worried the producer would think she's skipping out to do the audition. So she shot the biker scene totally drugged up with medicine to get by, and between takes, she would just collapse. Silver saw her and thought she was throwing the part because she didn't get her way to do the audition. He called her agent to complain. The agent then called Judie and told her Silver's concern, and she got real angry about this. She was doing everything to do her job despite the situation, so she went to his office on the set, where there was a group of people inside. She swung the door open, and here's what she did.
I opened up the office and I went, "Fuck you, Joel Silver! Fuck you!"
Oh my God.
And I slammed the door and I walked off. Lo and behold, he was having a meeting with the heads of Universal.
Unfortunately, she believed that this moment really damaged her career. She would not be in a movie for another 3 years. On December 21st, 1984, filming wrapped. Hughes phoned Oingo Boingo to make the main song for Weird Science. The group made the song, and Danny Elfman, who was a member of the group, hated the song, but it was their most popular one to date. If you are a moviegoer, then you should instantly know who Danny Elfman is. If not, he is the legendary film composer known for 1989's Batman and countless other films. After the film finished, the final price tag was around $7.5 million. After filming stopped, Hall was considered one of the top billing teen actors in Hollywood, and he had many opportunities. While filming Weird Science, he was in talks with Stanley Kubrick to be the lead in Full Metal Jacket. He also did a year on Saturday Night Live in 1985 and starred in the thriller Out of Bounds. If you believe the often inaccurate Wikipedia, it states that Hall turned down parts written for him by Hughes for Ferris Bueller's Day Off as Cameron and Pretty in Pink's Ducky because he did not want to be typecast. That is completely untrue, as this is what Hall himself had to say about it.
For years, I kind of opted not to tell the story, but the truth is he did write those 2 projects for me. He wanted me to do them. At the time, he was going to have Howie Deutsch, who's a great guy. I know Howie. I worked with his wife, Leah Thompson. He was going to direct Pretty in Pink, and he wanted me to star in Ferris Bueller, and I was actually booked and busy on some other projects, so it just didn't work out. And I think that kind of broke John Hughes' heart. It broke mine, too, because I really wanted to continue that relationship.
Yeah.
The film was scheduled to premiere on August 2nd, 1985, and there was no scandal or debates about it since we were a very open society during the 80s. We accepted that it would most likely be another teen boys film with raunchiness and teenage angst. Some stated that it objectified women. However, Kelly LeBrock never had any shame for being in Weird Science and loved that part, as she always calls it a strong female presence. However you want to take the film, even critics argued about it, and some of them were among my favorite.
This script is full of it goes to toilet humor.
You're sounding like the Parents Committee.
No, I'm not like the Parents Committee. I like the Howling when it came to vampire films, and I like all kinds of crazy teenage films. And this one is
I mean, your
garbage.
credentials are terrific, but you missed the boat on this one.
As for our take of the film, that will be in our next video, where we deep dive into the film itself. As for this installment, this is another party that's over.
Party's over. The girl, can we get out of here? I got money for everybody here. 50 for you.
If you like what you see here, click like and subscribe. And if you really like what you see, click super thanks.